Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I got invited to cover Crispifest. In Boiling Springs, right off Highway 9, at New Groove is where I spent most of my time. Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all, shooting some b-ball outside of the school. When a couple of guys who were up to no good started brewing beer in the neighborhood. They had one too many, and Beer Me GVL got fright. He said, "Take your butt back to Columbia tonight." I whistled for a cab, but when it came near, the license plate was fresh, had anime in the mirror. If anything, I could say that this cab was rare, but thought, nah, forget it, you're home, so New Groove. I pulled up to the house about 10 a.m. and I yelled to the cab, "You home, smell you later." I looked at the brewery, I was finally there to sit on my throne as the Prince of Crispifest.
Back here with more from Crispifest from New Groove Artisan Brewery. Adam Goodwin from Towne Fermentory, a rather big name in the South Carolina beer distro market and in general, name-wise. So people tend to think of Fermentory as hazies. So what's your pitch to spin the interpretation from Charlestown from hazies, which you do a lot of, versus the crispy boys that are out here at Crispifest?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been my thing to want to be a good brewery, not just known necessarily for one style or one type of beer, one brand, but, when people see our name on a menu or, when they come to the brewery, they can choose any style and know that it's just going to be a well-made beer. So, if we get them in the door because they've heard of our IPAs, cool. And then, I think just, when they try some of the other beers and realize, that we can do some other stuff, in my humble opinion, like very well. And I think, that just kind of builds upon itself. And I think people are starting to recognize our lagers and some of the other styles, are pretty well done as well.
Humble opinion from the owner. So what did you bring out today to Crispifest?
So we brought extra hellos, which is a German style pilsner, super light, crispy, obviously easy to drink, and then just because everyone around here, because they want to try our hazy stuff, we did bring our Sungazer IPA.
So now I had the extra hellos before. I am drinking the Sungazer, but someone can walk up to your table and see the name Extra Hellos and think it's going to be like a Hellas Lager, which is not necessarily the case.
Right. So
differentiate for the clientele the difference between that name and separating it from what people may think as it is not a Hellas Lager.
It's not it's technically a German Pils. We just use that extra Hell malt, so that's actually where the name comes from.
Is that the same malt that's used in the Hellas Lager?
I mean, you could use it in a Hellas Lager.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not normal.
It's not necessarily the only malt that you could use for that style of beer, yeah.
So, what was your mentality, and I apologize if I cut you off before if you're getting into that, what was the mentality in using that malt in this beer?
It's, a lot of people have said, it is really light, it's crispy, it's pretty well balanced, but people really enjoy the malt character, and sometimes it's fun to put something that's got maybe a little bit of a slightly different character than just a straightforward Pilsner malt. There's a lot of cool, like heirloom varieties or regional varieties of barley that are grown around the world, and they can bring something unique and interesting to a beer that really has 3 ingredients, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not using multiple malts. It's generally one malt, one hop, 1 or 2 hops, your yeast strain, and your water.
That's a good segue. So, what, as far as that overall grain bill, hop bill, where in that process do you see the differentiation made as far as whether it's a lager, whether it's an IPA, where do you make the differentiation as far as what comes out on the back end?
Yeah, I mean, it starts obviously with your recipe design, but you know, at the end of the day, it's the brewer's intention. I mean, you could take the same ingredients, use them slightly different, and make a completely different beer. So at the end of the day, yeah, it's how you put them together.
Is there any style you're still waiting to try?
To brew or to drink?
To brew.
Because I think I've drank
I'm sure, yeah. No, I'm sure you've tried everything at this point. You're the owner of a brewery. I don't doubt that there's anything that you've missed drinking.
Style that I think, that's actually the really great part about being a brewery owner is you get to decide what you make. So if there's something that I've wanted to make in the past, I've just kind of made it. So off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that we haven't had the opportunity to brew, and that's again the cool part. We've got a great crew that has brought some new ideas in recently, and I mean, we have a wide variety of beers that I think are all, again, really well executed on draft if you come to our tap rooms.
Is there a style that you really like that, based on what your sales reflects, what you push out to distro, is there a style that you really like that you would want to try, but the return on interest doesn't necessarily support?
I would say that was
return on investment. I'm sorry.
Right. I would say that was probably the case. When we first opened. I think Yacht Party, our American lager, is a really great example of that. We've been brewing that since we opened, and it was not a good seller for us.
What style was that?
It's an American lager.
Okay.
It's got rice and corn in it. It's straightforward. It's just a super light. I mean, it's made for today. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's your NASCAR beer. It's your lawnmower beer. But it's really good, and it's not a cool style. Like it takes a little bit to execute, and it really didn't sell well for about 4 or 5 years. And then these last couple of years, fortunately, as people have started to accept craft lagers a little bit more, and it's become a little bit more mainstream within the industry, it's now one of our best sellers. So, I know that doesn't fully answer your question, but it's a good example of where we've come, and sort of again, what I will do as a brewery owner. I can just say I want to make this style work, and I just keep brewing it.
But it does open up an interesting question. Beer for breakfast, stacks for snacks. Mr. I drink macro lagers over craft lagers. So how do you sell a craft lager to the quote-unquote beer nerd drinking population over a macro lager? I think selling something more artisanal versus something that's more mass-produced, and they know what to expect.
Well, I think a lot of people, even that are macro drinkers, will have our lager and really notice the difference in quality. The fact that we use all local ingredients helps. I mean, people can kind of get behind that, no matter what your feelings are about craft beer or macro beer. And I think once people taste it, I mean, that's really all the push that they need.
And I really agree with that, because I have historically not been a lager pilsner type of drinker. But when I try one that's brewed by a local craft brewery that has more detail,
a little more depth.
Yeah, factored into the recipe, factored into the selling point, I find those a lot more consumable, palatable than your typical Bud Light, Miller Lite, Natty Ice, whatever the case may be. So when you have a style like that, in the spirit of today, how do you differentiate something that's like that, that's more creative, more artisanal, that's something that somebody can just run out to Publix and grab a 12-pack of, 24-pack of even?
I think that's the difference, is that, generally, people are drinking more at breweries. So like people are just hanging out at breweries rather than, you know, going to breweries as like a quick, I'm going to try this new beer. So now that breweries have become a place that people are spending time at, those beers have their place, you know, within a brewery's profile and on their draft list, even if they're not distroing it, because you need something that people can sit and hang out for, you know, multiple hours like they would at any one of their other favorite watering holes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, with that, naturally and organically comes an education of someone just saying, oh, you know, maybe their friend says, oh, you really like lagers, try this, and then they'll go, oh yeah, that's really good. I'm gonna get that next time, you know, or
Yeah.
you know, and it just kind of grows from there.
So in light of that, coming out to your watering hole,
Yep.
what's the brand you want to get out of Charlestown Fermentory? As far as getting people out to the tap room, we know anyone local to South Carolina, to the Charleston area, knows the original location. Wasn't the greatest parking situation, but the West Ashley location has a great parking location.
Yeah.
So what do you offer from CHF as far as getting people to come out to try your brand?
Yeah, I mean, you know, besides the parking, the outdoor space, you know, the stage, the amenities, as far as like just looking at the beer list, our production team has been working on a really cool line of classic European styles, like UK specifically. And so we now have multiple nitro lines.
Ooh.
Just real clean classic styles.
Okay.
You know, we got a pub ale, ESB, brown ale,
Okay.
dry Irish style, just, you know, those kinds of things just in a nitro lineup. So classic like pub style ales.
I love a nice ESB.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Adam, thank you very much for joining me from Crispifest.
Absolutely.
Final words yours. What do you got?
Not much, man. Just you know, keep supporting local.
That's right. Cheers, brother. Thanks for hopping on with me.
All right, thank you.
Okay.